Well, hey there, guys. I'm Max the Beast of ZeldaEngine.net, and I want to talk to you about Zelda Battle Quest. Now, this was the game that was announced at E3 earlier this week, and it's not really a game, it's a mini-game that's part of Nintendo Land, virtual Nintendo theme park filled with mini-games of based on various Nintendo series. I don't even know, some of them might be original. A lot of them seem to be multiplayer oriented, and some of them might be single player. And Zelda Battle Quest specifically is said to have a single player option as well. And this is supposed to be kind of like Wii U's Wii Sports, where it's supposed to show off what the Wii U can do. So it's going to use the gamepad controller a lot and things like that. Now, Zelda Battle Quest was, I guess, a disappointment to some because it was the only Zelda news that came out this E3 instead of Zelda Wii U or Zelda 3DS or something like that. Though I really think that there was nothing else that we could have expected. I mean, Skyward Sword just came out. Well, the last time they talked about Zelda 3DS, they basically had implied, or at least one of the recent times, they had basically implied that they hadn't even settled on a direction for the game yet. So, ultimately, I think the fact that we even got this, I think, is relatively good news compared to what we should have been expecting. And, I haven't actually looked online yet. I'll probably be looking sometime shortly after this. Be sure to tell me your thoughts on it in the comments. What the reaction to this has been. Some part of me suspects it wasn't entirely positive because of the aforementioned reason. But, I mean, for me, yeah, it's not a major Zelda game. It's nothing big. It's nothing to be really, really excited about. But some part of me actually is kind of excited about this. First off, Nintendo Land really, really does look like it's kind of a lot of fun. Having them demonstrate how some of the minigames work, particularly the Luigi's Mansion themed one, it just looked like a lot of fun, especially if you have a lot of people to play with, and it seems like a really, really fun multiplayer experience. And Zelda Battle Quest is looking to be exactly the same kind of thing. And I really like how it seems to be like it controls, because you have one guy with the gamepad who uses it to aim around kind of like you would do on the, Ocarina of Time 3D with the, the motion control options for aiming instead of just using the circle pad. And so you have that guy, and he aims with his bow, and he's the archer. And the other characters control with, the Wii Motion Plus controls, which is really cool to see that the Wii U is going to be using Wii Motion Plus and various, a more diverse selection of control styles, since they basically have three, with the Pro controller and the, I actually discussed my thoughts on the Wii U in general, including that in a video I did on my personal channel. I'll link to it in the description. But aside from that, I like it that it uses Wii Motion Plus. I like seeing Skyward Sword's controls again, for the most part. I'm sure it's going to be a little different. And it just looks like it's going to be a fun, cute little multiplayer competitive experience, or maybe not competitive, but just cooperative. And I'm interested in seeing, because they've talked about there's going to be a single-player function to it as well as a multiplayer one, and it looks like there's several levels, and I imagine several bosses, which is fascinating because it could imply that a lot of these Nintendo Land games and Zelda Battle Quest are going to be a little deeper than you'd expect from the Wii U's Wii Sports, whatever that means, and actually be some fairly decent experiences in their own right. And another thing about Battle Quest is, this is something I've talked about fairly recently. This is something I've gone over on some of my more recent videos. I don't remember if I've said it in the past, but I've certainly said it recently, which is that Zelda has its core elements that it kind of shouldn't change. I mean, yeah, experiment for sure, as long as you don't change those core elements. And this is something I usually have, an opinion I usually have of most game series, at least that have defined elements about them, or unique combinations of elements that define their identity, which is definitely what Zelda is. But I have never minded the idea of such a series going crazy with spin-offs. Because, it's a spin-off. Who even takes it very seriously in conjunction with the main, the main series, why not go crazy and experiment with that and just do a lot of different things with it, since you've kind of got free reign. And another aspect of that is it does give you an opportunity to try out things and see if they would work in the main series without changing too much or making it too unlike what it's supposed to be. So, bottom line is, spin-offs should always go crazy and just do a lot of interesting stuff and really change it up. And I like Zelda Battle Quest because it's almost like a complete, exact representation of that. It is a completely different Zelda game. It's not even It doesn't even look like it plays exactly like you'd think a Zelda game would, kind of like Four Swords did. That was an odd multiplayer experience, but it still played like A Link to the Past for the most part. And this doesn't quite look like that. I mean, I guess it does a little bit. It looks like a little bit like Skyward Sword meets Ocarina of Time 3D, but I don't know. It just looks different, especially in the art style, where it's almost a little like Kirby's Epic Yarn, where it's like sewn together. It's not really like yarn bits and into outlines, but it is like this weird handcraft feel, which is interesting. And you know, it looks different with the Miis as your characters, and the enemies look a little different, but it looks like a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be a fun experience, and I definitely think we should all be a little excited about it. And hopefully the motion control thing will have something to do with, you know, Zelda Wii U. Actually, on that note, for those who don't like the idea of motion controls, my next video I do intend to discuss a bit of a compromise of sorts that I came up with. Probably not the only one, probably not an original idea, but still something I'd like to address that I propose they do for Zelda Wii U. Though it won't be next week, because that's going to be the Zelda Dungeon Marathon, which you should totally check out, by the way. It's going to be a lot of fun, I imagine. So be sure to check out the marathon, and then the week after that, there will be a video about my control compromise. Until then, tell me your thoughts on, you know, Zelda Battle Quest, and what you think about the controls, what you think about the gameplay, what you thought about it, you know, beforehand, what was your first impressions of it, and I'll see you guys later.